On the senior Kilkenny final coming up, Ballyhale against Dicksboro, and I'm sure you saw the semi-finals. Ballyhale beating James Stevens 322 to 126, pulsating game, and Dicksboro, I suppose they kind of had O'Loughlin's at arm's length, winning 216 to 14 points. Do you think either team looks like they're in better shape going into this final? Do you kind of almost think Ballyhale, back-to-back All-Ireland champions, they know how to get it done?
Well, look, going by the way the semi-finals went, I suppose maybe Ballyhale will feel that they have maybe more to improve upon, because there was long periods of that game where their backs were against the wall and sort of had to dig it out of fire. So, but genuinely, I don't think I could call it. It's going to be a very, very tight game, and I think a goal either here or there could swing it either way. And Dicksboro do have a massive threat there with great pace in their forwards and stuff like that. So that goal threat is always there. And Bill Sheehan is look, I didn't get to see many of their games. I seen one or two that were streamed, obviously, at the weekend, and another game a couple of weeks ago. And he's a serious danger man inside with his pace. And then obviously with Ballyhale, with Colin and TJ, they're never out of any game. As you see in the weekend. So I think it's going to be very, very close. And honestly, I wouldn't call it. I think there's going to be less than the goal between whoever wins it at the end.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously everyone will talk about TJ, and you rightly mentioned Colin Fennelly too, because you could argue that Colin Fennelly has been the most influential club player in the country in the last few years. Look what he's done on Paddy's Day. Look at what he's done. I don't know, the semi-finals against Schlockney. Look at what he's doing at the moment. At club level, he seems almost unstoppable.
Yeah, look, and I know he struggled for a small bit of form at the start of the league games and stuff like that, and I think he was sort of suffering with a bit of an injury as well. And I just think now he's obviously he's obviously at full fitness, and at the weekend he was just a serious threat there all game, and bringing other players into the game then as well, and. But physically he can just mix it up. Obviously, once he sort of gets the ball in his hand, and he can push it out of the way, or he can run around you. And when you have somebody in full forward who can do that, similar enough to Callan with Tip, they're a serious threat there, And look, and I think it's it'll probably come down to. Maybe who probably fouls less over the course of the game, because you have your namesake Shane Stapleton, who's an errant from freeze for Dicksboro, and then you have TJ then as well, who's not going to miss anything, if very little, for Ballyhale. So I think it could come down to that, and weather might play a huge factor in it as well, depending on what it's like on the day.
And do you think Killian Buckley against TJ is a matchup we might see, or do you think Dicksboro will want Killian on the ball more and let someone else do a man-marking job?
I'm not so sure. I think Killian can do a man-marking job while also hurling his own ball as well. So I don't think there's going to be any concerns there about maybe Killian potentially picking up TJ. But I think if you're going man-marking TJ, I think, well then, if he's going into full or corner, you sort of nearly have to follow him. You can't give a sort of a second rest there, because if you shut off in any way at all, he'll punish you. And so, look, that'll be a decision that Mark Dowling and the Dicksboro management team will make. And but I think even if Killian is marking TJ, he will still get on his own ball, because he's a phenomenal athlete. And he's look, from his point of view, I'm delighted to see him that he is fully fit, and he's thankfully staying injury free, because I know he was struggling a small bit the last couple of years. So and as you can see from his performance levels, he's driving out with every ball, and so he's a linchpin there for Dicksboro. And look, if they are going to win, look, Killian will obviously need to be hurling well and sort of driving things on from the centre back position.
Were you sort of surprised at all that Ballyhale have kicked on? I spoke with Adrian Owen a week ago, and he says they're possibly maybe even at a higher level than last year, despite losing Henry Shefflin as manager, Michael Fennelly as their centre back and captain, and Adrian Mullen being out with a cruciate throughout the season.
I think there's arguments for that, I suppose. The weekend, when James Stevens went at him, I suppose, for, apart from the first 15 minutes where I think the village maybe were being a little bit tentative, they were trying to maybe, look, I don't know anybody on the management team or anything like that, but were they trying to maybe retain Ballyhale a small bit rather than go at them? And there was long periods of that game where they were causing serious hardship for Ballyhale when they just kept driving at them. So I think because of the quality of Ballyhale, and as you said, yeah, look, okay, they are missing Adrian, he's one of the best ballers in the country, but when you still have the likes of Owen Reid and TJ and Colin there as well, and Owen Cody is in on the extended panel with Kilkenny at the moment. So just that's 4 players who would make any club team in the country, and that's no disrespect to anybody else on it. I know Brian Cody is there as well, and he's always performing at a top level, and he was playing at the weekend with a bandage on his leg, a heavy bandage. So, look, he might be at full fitness next weekend. So who knows, or in 2 weekends, whenever it is.
Yeah, and then I know you said it's too tight to call, but gun to your head, would you still be going with Ballyhale?
Listen, yeah, look, I think they probably will just bite a couple of points, really, just because of how Colin is performing. And, Joey Holden just constantly goes about his business in the back line there. But they have a serious point to the team. If you look at Dean Mason's played obviously underage with Kilkenny, and that's no disrespect to anyone playing on the wings or anything like that. But when you have, Dean Mason, Joey Holden, you have Richie Reid, centre back, and, Ronan Corcoran and Paddy Mullen are playing a very, very high level midfield, but then you go to Colin or TJ at 11 and Colin at 14. That's a serious point to any team, and regardless of how the players are performing around them, you can be sure of it that those boys will drag them through anything.
Absolutely brilliant stuff, Owen. Really appreciate you joining me.
Good stuff. Cheers, Shane. Thanks a million.